Hello and welcome back to the channel. So as I'm sure you're all aware from the previous video that you will have seen at Leighton Moss and the Bearded Tit video, that I have got a new setup, and I briefly mentioned it in that video. But today we're going to pop down my local reservoir, and we're basically just going to, while the weather's sunny, it's a little bit harsh but I'm sure we'll be okay. It's decent light, and yeah, we'll see what it's about. We've got some lovely autumn colours, I'm sure you'll see behind me, so maybe we can get a bit of that autumn colour. There's Kingfishers about, there's Kestrels about, there's Cormorants, goosander, loads of stuff about. So we'll have a little play around with the new system, well, new gadget, with the same system with Nikon obviously, and we'll have a go with this Z8 and see how well it does compared to what I have been using, the Z6 as you know. So, which obviously I have been satisfied with, hence why I've stayed with Nikon. So yeah, we'll have a little look round today, see what we can see. It's a little bit busy because I'm here over a weekend, so you'll probably hear screaming and things in the background, but to be honest, the birds should be used to that because this is quite a busy place to come, so the birds will be accepting of it. So hopefully we can spot some stuff. So yeah, thanks for joining me, and hopefully you enjoy the video, and yeah, let's get into it. Well, that should be pretty good. Oh, cracking. So we've had a hell of a lot of rain the last couple of days, and especially overnight last night. So I think when you're searching for things like, I know Kingfishers are in this area, so we're going to kind of go to the areas where I think I may spot the Kingfisher. We've got kind of like a little weir system that's kind of flooded after the weir, to be honest. It regularly floods, so it's used to flooding. But just got to watch my camera going through this gate. The last thing I want to do is nail me new, what's the camera doing there? Yeah, the last thing I want to do is nail me new camera, don't I, and lens. So I'll just show you where we are. I've just come to this quiet little pool that it's a great spot for kingfishers in the autumn and winter months, because when you get a lot of rainfall, which is what I was trying to say, when you get a lot of rainfall overnight, it puts a lot of colour in the streams and river systems. So the kingfishers really struggle to fish in those kind of conditions, compared to a pool like this. Doesn't get affected because it's not a flowing, what is this camera doing today? It's not a flowing amount of water. It's literally just a body of water that doesn't really move, stays still, and it stays in one place, so it doesn't get murky, unless say we have a storm pass through and the winds are really high. Maybe then it would, but because this pool is controlled by this weir, the flow is controlled by this weir, and it's also got a bridge on the other side of it. I'll just see if I can show you. It's got a bridge, so that'll break up any motion that you can see coming from the main reservoir, which you'll see in other parts of this video, where it's actually quite choppy out there, which might make for some good video for some other birds like the goosander, which we're going to try and target, and cormorants and things like that, and maybe even some grebes as well. But the water's a lot more still. And when the sun's shining like this, kingfishers just love to have the sun on their back, so they can see their prey items a lot easier, using that sun to their advantage, and also on some nice still water. And obviously a lot of young fish are gonna hang out in this kind of water, where they're outside of the big reservoir, where there's probably a lot of predatory fish like pike and things like that. So there will be pike in here as well, but kingfishers are going to be targeting those smaller fish, mainly probably perch in a reservoir like this. So yeah, hopefully we see some action, and I'll hang around here a bit, perch in a spot, and we'll see what we can see. So I've been perched on the edge of this pool for a little bit at the moment. I don't know if earlier on the video, when I panned onto this little pool, there's like a blue barrel, like a container barrel, and it's just been bobbing around, but the kingfisher's actually just turned up and kind of flew over my shoulder from the busier part of the lake actually, and it's just landed on the edge of the barrel. And it's quite funny because I've got some video of it just bobbing along. It was a little bit low because the barrel's really low on the water, so but it's just funny how this blue kingfisher was sitting on this blue barrel just bobbing along. So I'll stick a bit of that footage on, and managed to get a couple of stills as well, but it's not really in the best location, and that, but it's reasonably close actually, quite close. The bird, I am probably about 40 feet from the barrel, something like that, so yeah, reasonably close, and it didn't seem to mind. I assume because there's a lot of people here of a weekend, and maybe of an evening after work, a lot of people walk around the lake just for a dog walk, or you know, just to get out with the kids and things, so it seemed quite accepting because it knew I was there and it just wasn't bothered. So it's on a branch now, a little bit further away, but I'll take a little bit of a video and a few more stills, but nothing that's going to be too amazing. But I have to say, the tracking on this camera, even on a branch where there's a lot of leaves about, it's not that obvious where the bird is. It's the whole time it's got a box around the kingfisher. It's on focus. I haven't got to do anything, whereas with the Z6 II I felt like it was very manual. Obviously I shoot in manual with auto ISO, and sometimes I turn that off, but even with the focusing mode, because you haven't got bird detect on the Z6 II, you're very much relying on either you can do subject tracking, but it's nowhere near as reliable as what this bird detect is, and it just seems a different world. So at the moment it's absolute game changer for me. I'm finding for focusing anyway, I'm having to do less thinking, which helps, be able to think about other things like where I need to be, what perspective I should be, and things like that. So hopefully that will help the images down the line. So yeah, if you can think of less things to do when you're doing photography, especially when you're shooting in pretty much full manual, which is quite a tricky thing to do, if you can get your camera doing all the work for you, or most of the work for you, then that, at least you can think about the things that are really going to change that image and make it stand out from just taking a standard photo of a bird on a perch, which often, as we all know, is the difference between an amazing image and something pretty unimpressive. So it's just getting that correct perspective. So yeah, but this camera just at the moment, absolute game changer, and the lens, that extra 100mm reach, is, you can tell the difference, especially for the small birds, and even when you've got subjects flying overhead of you. We've had a few buzzards, and a kestrel's turned up briefly, and they're quite far away, and normally I wouldn't try and take a photo, but because I've got my new lens, obviously I'm trying stuff that I wouldn't normally try, even if stuff seems out of range, and you can just really tell that extra 100mm. So yeah, I think it's going to prove absolute game changer in the coming months once I learn more about this system. And at the moment, because I haven't moved from Nikon, I understand how to use this camera mostly anyway, so yeah, absolutely can't wait to just keep taking it out, even if the opportunities are going to get less over the next few months, obviously with it being winter and autumn. The weather's probably going to stop us, but I'm still going to be getting out with this camera because I'm going to want to really put it through its paces. So yeah, can't wait for that. Let's move to a different part of the reservoir now and see what else we can find. I'd fancy trying to spot that kestrel, see if we can get close to that. There's a few deer knocking about as well, but I have seen a couple of grey wagtails actually just flying around this weir, so I might, before I do go, I might see if I can get some pictures of them. They're very pinging from one side to the other, so I'll see what images I can get. If I do get anything, I'll stick them on for you, because it's a lovely looking bird, the grey wagtail, especially with the amount of yellow on the chest, and you can get some real colourful ones. So absolutely stunning bird. So yeah, I'll see if I can get some pictures. I've got some already, but from a distance I'm just going to probably sit on the bank a little bit, quite low down, and see if we can get some different images. bad little few photos of the Kingfisher, and it's nice to have a new location to come for Kingfisher, so I might use this one in the autumn and the winter, to be honest, because it's not a site that I've thought to use for Kingfishers just because of how big the water is. But obviously if you can find those little locations, then you'll find that they spend a lot of time at these places, and it's just about being patient. So yeah, we have got a Kestrel. I'll stick on the screen now. Don't know if you'll see, but we've got a Kestrel in the area, just hunting over this heather, so we might see. I'll hang around this area and see if we can get any images. It depends how close it's willing to come, but we'll see. Also, one thing I have noticed, obviously this camera, the Z8, Jesus, this is a bit tricky. Obviously now I've got the Z8, I can actually film in 4K 120 frames per second, which is something the Z6 II couldn't do. So I think I was filming in 1080p 120 frames per second, so hopefully you'll notice the video get a lot better, the slow-mo footage and things like that should be a lot better for having 4K capability. So if we can get that Kestrel hovering quite close by, we might be able to get some nice, really nice quality slow-mo shots, but it's not a lot else about, to be honest. But we'll keep having a walk around, and anything I do see, I'm literally just going for anything. If a magpie comes flying out or a black-headed gulls come flying along over the water, I'm going for them. So while I've got this reach on the lens, it's really noticeable, that extra 100mm. So one thing I have noticed about this setup, although it looks very similar, obviously, because I had the 200 to 500 lens, now I've got a 180 to 600. Obviously you'd expect the 600 to be the longer lens, but actually because of the internal zoom, it just means that it's somehow it's not actually that long. It's pretty much very similar in length once you've got the 500 fully extended, and this is not actually much difference. I'll put the length measurements difference on the screen for you. Obviously also this time I haven't actually got a I don't have to have a the adapter, F to Z adapter, because now this is a native lens with a native camera, so it's a Z system on both sides, so just means there's also an extra bit of length lost on the whole. It's actually a shorter setup for me, which means the balance is better and it seems lighter. Now I'll do a weigh of my previous setup with the Z6 II. Obviously the body's going to be lighter, but we have got the adapter in addition, so that's going to be extra weight, and then the lens is probably comparable weight wise, so I'll stick up the two weights of the setups, and I'm literally holding it with the same strap that I had before, so just for comparison really, to see if it's a lighter setup, because obviously it's a very popular kind of setup that is. So obviously when you make the jump you don't have to have that adapter, which helps. So, and also the fact that you've just the internal zoom, you haven't got that I don't know, it feels like you feel like you're going to bring dust into the lens, so it's just nice knowing that it's a contained unit now and it's just all sealed, and yeah, it just helps with the balancing as well, with it being just shorter in general. I feel like walking around with the Z8, it just feels like when a bird flies out of a tree or something that you've just seen, and you just hit that whichever way you're focusing, whether you're using the actual shutter button or you're using the the back button autofocus, or even an FN button on the front of the camera that you can customise. How quick it locks onto a bird is absolutely incredible in that bird mode. It's just absolute game changer for bird in flight photography, which on the Z6 II was pretty much a nightmare, to be honest. It's very manual, and it's up down to your skill a lot of the time to be able to pinpoint it, but also it does just miss the bird sometimes and goes right to the back, and even when you put a box around it, it doesn't always pick the bird out, whereas this bird detect, it really knows what it's looking for. It's absolute top-notch game changer. I can't believe I made the switch to like a pro body earlier, to be honest, despite me not being a pro. So I'm just spending a little time now at the little pool that I was at earlier, where we saw the Kingfisher, because the food source is that good in this pool that they're coming up with fish every time. And I'm talking about the grebe, the cormorant's been in here, the goosander, the female goosanders have been here. It just seems to be a very attractive spot for these birds. So literally, as we speak, the grebe has just near the grey wagtails in the background. The grebe has just pulled up yet another fish. Looks like a dace to me, or maybe a baby roach. Small silver fish anyway, and they're pulling them up non-stop, and the young's following the adult, and just a different variety of birds as well is also coming for these fish. So I'm interested in this cormorant. This cormorant turned up, and the size of this perch that it had in its mouth was absolutely huge. So I'll stick the images on for you now, but I had the shut speed. I can't remember what the shut speed was. I'll stick it on the screen for you, but this thing just locked on it and just did not let it go, and it was just, I was able to pop off that many shots that you're looking for the best photo with really it's got the best bird orientation with the head and whatnot, but also you're looking for the fish being in the right orientation to give the image a real good look. And I've got quite a few good images, because I think I've got it set to, I've only got the shutter speed to 10 frames per second. I mean, this can go ridiculous up to like 120 frames per second because of the electronic shutter, but obviously I'm not shooting in that because my memory card is just going to fill up like you won't believe. So I've got it at 10, which is enough for me, and it's more than what I have been shooting with the Z6 II. So it's dead easy to just flip into 20 frames per second, which is probably the max I'll probably use it on if we're shooting real small birds or something like that in good light. But for what I'm doing now, 10's enough. And I tell you what, the keeper rate just from using this system compared to, I think it's just the focusing system, to be honest, it is focusing that well in bird detection that it's, and I'm going to keep banging on about it, but it's just that does that good at focusing in bird detection mode that it's just, you get so many keepers, which is exactly what you need as a wildlife photographer, because you don't always get the moment. So sometimes the camera's going to pick that up for you depending on what system you're upgrading to and things like that. And this has been a process for me over, probably over 15 years really. I've always had cameras when I was a kid, like when I was younger, and now I've just, every time I get a new camera, it's kind of an upgrade in level, and I don't think I'll ever go back from this kind of level from Z8 and up. I was debating the Z9, because a lot of you might be thinking, well, why haven't you gone for the Z9 if, you know, you're talking about an upgrade and stuff like that. It's not exactly that much more, it's like probably $1,000 more, something like that, but obviously you're shelling out a lot of money, especially when you're buying a lens and a camera. You know, it's a lot of money. So I think sometimes you just have to, you know, go with, you just got to make the investment, and obviously you can sell your old gear and stuff like that and get a bit of money back, but it's the lightweightness that I wanted from this kit as well. So this is just a lighter setup, and it's got the same sensor, so ultimately the image quality is going to be the same, and so is the focusing. So no reason to get the Z9 over the Z8, so that's why I went with this setup. So one of the downsides to actually picking the Z8 over the Z9, I would say, and something I have definitely noticed so far, which would have, if I went for the Z9 would have helped, although it would have been a heavier setup, is the battery. So the battery life on the Z8, this camera's doing a lot of work in terms of auto-focusing and stuff that you haven't got on a Z6 II, yet it's still the same battery as you would use on a Z6 II or a Z7 II or a lot of other different Nikon cameras. So it's a lot, you do burn through the batteries quite quickly, so it's not a problem for me. I've got 3 batteries, I keep them all topped up. I'll probably get a 4th at some point, and it's just for those really long shooting days, which to be honest I don't really have too many of them anyway, so it's not really a huge issue. It's just something to bear in mind, but for me the trade-off of the weight and carrying a big heavy camera and the camera grip is just, yeah, not necessary. If I really wanted a really good battery life, I would just get the although it's quite cumbersome, I would get the grip battery, but that doesn't really interest me for the portrait use of like having your shutter button on portrait, and obviously it would be useful for the battery power, but also apparently the Z8 body is even bigger than the Z9 body when you add the grip, so there's no point for me. I'm just happy just having a couple of batteries in my pocket and just stick them in, and away we go again. And obviously just having it on where it goes to sleep after so many seconds, I generally keep it on that, because this camera's so quick to just press the shutter button and it's literally awake and ready to go. So yeah, that's one way to retain battery. So yeah, it lasts reasonably long. I couldn't tell you how long yet because I've not used it enough really to, to tell, but it definitely goes through them quicker than the Z6 II. So that's something to bear in mind. Another great tip when you're anywhere like this, where you're on like a reserve, where you've got diving birds, so you might have cormorants, shags, great northern divers, great crested grebes, little grebes, goosanders. Some of them are going to be a lot more skittish than others. These grebes don't care at all, really. You can approach the bank and get low down, no problem. But the best thing to do, really, even for the ones that are comfortable with you, just to ensure that they are still comfortable, because a bird might be comfortable and then totally change its behaviour. Just a big cormorant flying over there. That would have been a good opportunity, but the good thing to do is just when it dives, just get in position. Or if you can't quite get to the position that you want, keep edging to that position until you get there without having to disturb the bird, really, because they don't really have any idea that you're there. If you're doing it while they're hunting, then they're none the wiser when they come up. So it's best to just keep moving forward, getting into your position that you want to get into. It's probably worth just watching a few dives, seeing them at the time that they're taking, and then just you know how much time you've got to move, basically. But normally you've got a pretty good amount of time, so it should only take 1 or 2 dives. If they come up early, they come up early, but you're just trying to do the best you can to keep the bird comfortable, really, and obviously still get your low down shot right against the water, so everybody wins then. So obviously you've got to make sure that these birds aren't under any stress, or you're not putting pressure on them, really, and they're there because they want to be. So that's, you can see the birds on some of the images I've got today. They're totally comfortable. They're within good close range, and even if they're aware of me, I'm not doing any strange movements. They're just happy that I'm just sitting there stationary. So yeah, got some good images. I'll stick some on. So I've just had the pleasure of finishing the day off sitting back around this pool, just because we've had a lot of success with the Kingfisher, and I heard it fly over. I heard the call, and it flew back over to this area, and I've spent a lot of time in this area of the reservoir, to be honest. I haven't really walked around much just because there's a lot of different subjects in this area. Obviously you've seen them throughout the video. So I've come back, and the Kingfisher, lo and behold, is back on the blue barrel. I managed to get pretty close, and it's totally nose on ear, and it was just accepting the whole time. It's literally just his second flew off, and you'll see how comfortable it was with me, because I managed to get some birds in flight photography with the Kingfisher flying directly towards me as if it was going to fly down my lens. So hopefully they come out alright. If it was on any other camera that I've used, I wouldn't have got the image, but I hope we've got some. They look pretty sharp. The only problem is you can probably tell the light's gone a bit dull just as he flew towards me, which I would probably have liked that full sun that's pretty much been out the whole time to have still been there, just so it's not the ISO down. But we'll see what the settings were at the time, and it looks like there's a couple of sharp ones, so I'll be ecstatic if I can get something. But I'll stick on a load of footage, because I have just watched it catch 2 fish while sitting on this barrel. I've been sitting here probably about 15 minutes with it, and it's just not a problem with me. I've just been literally creeping up, following this fence, just getting closer and closer, kind of using it as a bit of a barrier, and it's just been happily fishing away. And I'll show you some of the footage now of it getting more fish. So it's 3 fish in total I've seen this bird catch, and yeah, hopefully I've got some decent images. I'd like to think that I have, so I'll stick them on, and we can probably wrap the video up there, to be honest. But I'll just show you the images, because these are probably some of the best images of the session. So I'd like to probably come back again and see if I can get some more images on some different perches maybe, and in some different lights. So yeah, absolutely, I tell you what, just for a little point and shoot, just to get out really with the camera, it's turned into a really good session, and a nice little moment for me, and a little memory for me to come and reminisce on once I see those images. And I'll always think of this Kingfisher on this barrel. So yeah. Oh, I need some help getting up these days. So I think that leaves us to end the session. This pool is literally empty now, there's nothing in it. So hopefully you've enjoyed the videos. This was just really a little introduction on a first little impressions of what I've found with this Z8 and the new 180-600 lens. And yeah, I'm absolutely ecstatic with the system. Obviously, as we go through more and more videos throughout the autumn and winter and next year, we'll probably talk about a few more points on the Z8 and that. But I'm absolutely so far so happy with the upgrade, and can't wait to just get out and keep shooting with it really. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, please like and subscribe. I have noticed a lot of the viewers, I'll stick something on the screen now, just shows you how many returning viewers that we have to the channel. But obviously there aren't that many people actually subscribing. Now subscribing is free, so if you want to just hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you get notified for when I release another video, because we are getting over 500 people returning to the channel each week, but obviously the subscriber count is probably less than half that, so I'd like to get that up. It helps me produce more videos for you and get the content, and also it'll bring more people commenting on the videos and maybe some more suggestions to maybe switch up the content and things like that. So yeah, if you could just do that for me, that'd be absolutely fantastic, and it would help the channel grow. So yeah, and it would also give me some confidence to keep going out and doing these videos and carry on doing it. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.